Muse for you, awesome websites without code.
Hey, what's up musers, and welcome to day 4 of building a chef website in Adobe Muse. On day 4, we're going to work on section 1. So here we have day 4, section 1. Yesterday we worked on the header and footer, so today is section 1. So I'll go ahead and double click into day 4, section 1 in the course folder. Here we have the assets. I'll go back here, and the PDF file for the day, the image, the completed section, and some section text, so we can just copy and paste from this text file. So I'll go ahead and open the chef website section 1 PDF. So I'll double click to open the PDF file, and here we have section 1, and we have all the comments for section 1. So I've already printed out the comments for today, so I have them in front of me, but I will reference the PDF from time to time so we can take a look, so we can see what we're building today. So this is section 1, and let's go ahead and get started. So I'll go into the Finder, I'll go back to the root of the course folder, and we want to double click on chef website starting file.muse. So I'll double click, and this time instead of clicking into the master page, we're going to double click into the home page. So I'll double click, and I'll hold down Command minus to zoom out a bit. So here we have the header and footer, which we added yesterday. So the first thing we want to do today is add the section 1 layer. So in yesterday's video, I kind of didn't get to this until a little bit later, but this should be the first thing we do, is set up the layer for the section. So here we have the header layer and the footer layer. So here we're in the layers panel to the right, and we have header and we have footer, and you'll notice we can't open the header and footer, and that's because they're on the master page. And here we have layer 1, so we're just going to rename layer 1 to section 1. So to do that, you can either click once, or click once until it allows you to rename it, or you can double click on layer 1, and then you have the layer 1 dialog box here, and just rename it to section 1, and then I'll click OK. And now we have header, section 1, and footer. So your layers panel should look like this: header, section 1, and footer. Go ahead and click on section 1, so any elements we add from now on will be added to section 1. Alright, so we've done that. Now let's start adding more elements to the website. So let me go to the PDF, and we're going to take a look what we're going to start with. So the first thing I want to do is add this background image with kind of these leaves here, and this pepper, and this kind of black wooden background. So let's go back into Muse, and let's see the header image. So we're going to select the rectangle tool, and we're going to click, hold, and drag from the very top corner of the website, and just click, hold, and drag out, just like that. So you're going to notice it's going to say 100% width, and this means this rectangle is stretched to the browser width. And the height, we're going to manually set the height, so let's not worry about the height too much now, but just create a rectangle that's 100% width. And if you go to the resize option, you can see it says stretch to browser width. So we want this rectangle to stretch to the browser width. So the width is 1600. If you see on your comments that it says 1600, that just means that it's stretched to the browser width. And then the height of this rectangle is 946. So I'll go into the transform panel with the rectangle selected, and I'll type in 946 and enter, and make sure this is not selected. You don't want the constrained selected, because if you were to change this, then the width would change as well. Alright, so there we have this large rectangle. Now we want to fill the rectangle with the image. So let's go to fill in the upper control bar. So just click on fill, and then you want to click on add image. So go ahead and click add image, and then go into day 4 section 1 and click on assets in here, and let's select the asset, which is header image min. Min just means that I minified the image. It's a fairly large image, so I wanted to minify it, and I do have other videos on compressing images. It's always a good idea to try to get the image fairly small in size in kilobytes, because you don't want it to be too large. So this image is 196 kilobytes, think when I first downloaded it, it was really large. So there are tools to get the image to a smaller size. So I'll go ahead and click here on header image min. So I'll double click. And there we have the image. So for the image, we want to, here where it says fitting, we want to click and select scale to fill. And then we want to position it in the center. And that's it. That's all we have to do for that image. We can see we have the pepper here and we have the leaves. And if I preview in the browser, file, preview page in browser, and I resize, we can see that image will resize as well with the background because it's stretched to browser width. If I make the website really large or the browser, the image stretches as well with the browser. All right, let me minimize this here. Okay, and I'll just close that for now. So there we have the header image, and now let's move on to the header title. So let's grab the text tool here to the left, just click on the text tool, and just create a text box. It can be any size for now, or actually, we're gonna set this text box to browser width. We're gonna stretch it to the browser width. So you can either right click, resize, and say stretch to browser width, or here in the resize option, stretch to browser width, or in the transform panel, stretch to browser width. So you have multiple options for resizing the element. All right, so the font size for this, or let's type the text first, which is, let me go to the PDF. It says eat healthy, feel the power of healthy food. All right, so I'll type in eat healthy here, feel the power of healthy food. Okay. And I'll highlight it. I'll highlight that text, and we want to format the text now. So we're gonna align it in the center. The text is Roboto Light, so I'll select Roboto Light. So I'll type in Roboto and make sure this WF, or no, we want to go here in Typekit. So I have Roboto, a WF Roboto as well. Make sure that it's TK. We want to use the Typekit Roboto. So select Roboto, and then just select Roboto. And it's Roboto Light. So select Roboto Light here. Okay. And then the size is 60. So you can just enter in 60 here, or select the drop down and then select 60 here as well. So there we have it, 60, and the color is white. So sorry, I'm zooming in a bit. So let me zoom in here and select white for the color. And let's see. That's the color. So that is it. And then we'll add the paragraph tag in a second. Let's just place the element correctly. So let's go to the transform here, and the height is 144. So we'll enter 144 for the height, and the Y coordinate is 245. Okay, perfect. And because it's stretched to browser width, we don't have any pinning options here, any responsive pinning, because the element is already filling the entire width of the browser. So when the browser resizes, the element will resize as well. And it's just nice sometimes to have the text stretched to the browser width, because now we have space as the browser is resizing. We have space on the left and the right. And as an example, I'll go ahead and preview in the browser. And as I resize, we can see we have that space on the left and the right, and once it reaches about this point, that's when the text starts moving, because there's not enough space within the browser. But that gives us plenty of space on the left and the right because it's stretched to browser width. So we can, stretch out the website, and then once it reaches the sides of the browser, that's when it starts resizing or moving the text around. And then we'll change it. We'll add breakpoints, and we'll change the text size on those breakpoints so that it looks nice on those breakpoints. The last thing we'll do is add the paragraph tag. This is a headline, so I want to go into the text panel, and right here we have the paragraph options, and I want to go ahead and give it an H1 tag, which is headline. So we're kind of doing a bit of SEO as we're building the website. That way when we get to the day where we add SEO, we don't have to add all these tags to the different text on the website. All right, so that is done for the title, the header title. Let's add the header tagline. Here, did I move this a bit? Okay, there we go. So the header tagline, I'll go ahead and select the text option here, the text tool. I'll create a text box, and yeah, let's stretch it to browser width. So I'll right click, resize, stretch to browser width. And for the text, I actually have a section text here that I added for the header tagline. You can add anything. it doesn't really matter what goes in here because it's just for demonstration purposes. But if you did want to copy and paste the text that's in there, you can go ahead and do that. So I just copied the text from that file, which is called section text, and I'll go ahead and double click into the text box to get the cursor, and then I'll hit Command V to paste, and then we have the text. So now I'll go ahead and format this text. I'll hold down Command A to select the text, or you can highlight the text here. Then I'll go to the text panel, and the text for this is Roboto Slab. So there we have Roboto Slab, and I'll select Roboto Slab Regular, and then the size is 16. The color is white, and it's aligned in the center, and that's about it. So this doesn't have any paragraph tags, so we'll just leave it as is. And then so we have the text there, and let's go to the transform option. So let me just select the text box, go to the transform, and header tagline, it's at, the height is 19, and it's at 421. Okay, so that's it. We have the title and the tagline. Looks good. So I'm going to try to move a bit quickly through these next steps because I think we've already kind of got used to kind of going back and forth between the transform panel, text panel, and creating the elements. So let's just move on to the next part here. So I'll go to the PDF, and let's add the read more button. So it's a widget, so I'll go to the library panel, click on the library, and for this we're using the, let me find it here, we're using the advanced gradients 2 colors. So type in advanced gradients and 2 colors, and then I'll click, hold and drag and place onto the website. And then the colors are, we have the colors in the swatches. So for color 1, I'll select the drop down, and the angle is 45, so we're all set there. The first color I believe is this one, yep. And the second color, let me zoom out, the second color is this one. So in the header and footer section, we added these colors to the swatches panel, so now we can easily access them when we're building the other sections. Okay, so there we have the rectangle, and let's go to the transform panel, and the width of the rectangle is 194 by by 60, and the x coordinate is 703 by 477. All right, and the responsive pinning is set to center, and you'll notice when you set the responsive pinning, you get a dashed line, so it's in the center there. And then the resize option is set to none, so we don't want it to resize when the browser changes size. So there we have the rectangle, and now let's add the text on top of the rectangle. So let's go to the text tool, and I'll create a rectangle here, and I'll type in read more. I'm not going to add any uppercase letters because we're going to change it in the text formatting. So I'll highlight the text, let's go to the text transform, and I'll type in MONTS for Montserrat, and here we have Montserrat, and the size is 13, the color is white, and it's aligned in the center, and the text transform is uppercase, and I believe that's it for that. And let's go ahead and position it correctly. So I'll just select the text box, go to the transform panel, and the width is 94, the height is 16, the x coordinate is 753, and the y coordinate is 498. The resize is set to none, and the responsive pinning is set to the center. And perfect, there we have the read more button. Looks good. All right, so let's go back to the PDF, and let's go ahead and add this rectangle here with this image of a croissant. So I'll go back to Muse, and I'll select the rectangle tool right up here, and let's take a quick look at the layers panel just to make sure everything is in section 1. That looks good. And you'll notice that the header elements stay on top as well, because the header layer is on top of section 1. So the menu and the button, they stay on top of that image we placed in section 1, which is this one here, and that's because the header is on top of section 1. So any element that's on top of another element in the layers panel is in front of that element. All right, so everything's looking good in the layers panel. So let's create that rectangle. So it's called Good Food Rectangle. So I'll go to the rectangle tool here, and I'll just create a rectangle. It can be any size for now because we're going to change it in the transform panel. And so for this rectangle, the width is 800 by 750, and on the x-axis it's at 215, and on the y-axis it's at 639. The responsive pinning is set to center, and the resize is set to none. All right, looks good. And there we have the rectangle. Now let's fill this rectangle with that image. So with the rectangle selected, let's go to the fill, click on add image, and here we're in the assets for day 4. So it's called Good Food Image. So I'll double click, and there we have the image. And let's go ahead for fitting, say scale to fill, and position it in the center. Perfect. So there's the image. Looks good. And we're going to add a shadow to this image as well. So with this image selected, let's go to effects, click on shadow. The shadow color is black, so we'll select black there. The shadow opacity is at 38%. The shadow blur is at 20. The angle is 90. And the distance is 22. Okay, so you'll notice we have kind of the shadow to the image, which kind of adds a bit more depth to the website and this image. So that's it for the Good Food rectangle. Now let's add the spoon and fork icon. So for this, I'm going to go to assets, and we have the spoon and fork icon. So I'm just going to click, hold, and drag and place right in there. And for this, the color of the icon is actually white. So we're going to do a little kind of trick here. So with this icon selected, let's go to effects, let's go to glow, click on glow, and the color is going to be white, so it's already white there. And for the opacity, say 100, and the blur, you can enter in 300, the max is 250, just enter 250, and then select inner glow, and that converts that icon to white. So it's kind of like a little neat tip there, so you can convert PNG images. You can change the color by using the glow option here in the effects panel. So it's glow 100%, the color you want, the blur set it to maximum, and then select inner glow. All right, so there we have that icon. It's now white and it looks better on this image. So let's go to the transform panel, and this is at 256 by 709. Okay, and the responsive pinning is set to center. The resize option, none. All right, looks good. So you'll notice when you set things to be pinned in the center responsively, you'll get a dashed line because these elements are going to stay relative to the center of the browser as the browser is resizing. So now let's add the Good Food text. So I'll go to the text panel here, text tool, and I'll create a text box, and I'll type in Good Food. There we go. Yeah, Good Food. So capital G and a capital F. I'll highlight it. Let's go to the text options here, and the font is Roboto. I'll go to Typekit, it's Roboto Medium. So here we have Roboto and Typekit. Select medium. The size is 45. And I am going a bit quickly. I'm kind of aware of that, but just to save a bit of time, I'm kind of just going back and forth between the panels. The PDF, the comments for the PDF basically have all this information. So it's just to save a bit of time and not have like an hour video for each section. And you can leave comments in the description area below as we're going through the course, and I'll be happy to help as well. All right, so yeah, that's the Good Food text. The color should be white here, so that's an edit here. So white, okay. And then the text line is left, and that's about it. And the font size was 45, so that looks good. Now let's go to the transform panel, and let's work with this here. So I think I can leave the text highlighted and just work with the transform, so that should be all set. So the X is 254, the Y is 761, and the width is 325, and the height is 54. Perfect. Looks good. The width actually doesn't have to be that much for this one, so you can bring it in if you'd like that, but we'll stick to the comments and we'll just leave it at 325. All right, and then the pin to page, it's pinned to the center, or responsive pinning is to the center, and the resize is none. All right, so there we have it, good food. And the next is the compose text, which, let's go to the PDF. Yeah, compose your own diet. So we'll go back to Muse. Again, we'll create a text box with the text tool. Just create a text box and we'll type in compose your own diet. Okay, let me go on to the next page here. Yeah, compose your own diet, and I believe that's all uppercase. Let me go into PDF. Yep, it's all uppercase. Compose your own diet. I'm just writing little notes. So the final comments, as I'm going through the course myself, just changing little comments here and there. All right, so I'm gonna select this here, compose your own diet. So we've typed it. Now let's go to the text formatting. And the font type is Montserrat, so M-O-N-T-S. I'll select Montserrat. The font size is 22. And the font color is white. And that looks good there. So, yep. And let's go to the transform panel. The X coordinate is at 254. The Y is 821. The width is 325. And the height is 26. And then we're going to pin to the center, responsive pinning, and resize none. Perfect. All right, so let's go into Muse, into the folder here, and I'm going to zoom in just a bit. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. All right, so the next thing we're going to add is the read more button. So the read more rectangle. So let's just select the rectangle tool right up here and just create a rectangle, and we'll change it in the transform panel right up here. So the transform rectangle, the X is 254, the Y is 873, and the width is 170, and the height is 46. And the pin to page is center, resize none. And there we have the rectangle, and we're going to add a stroke to the rectangle. So here in the stroke option in the upper control bar, just click the drop down, select white for the stroke color, and the stroke width is 1 pixel, the stroke weight. And just like that, we have that rectangle. And now we'll add the text. So again, I'll go to the text tool, just create a text box in the rectangle, and we'll type in read more. I think that was it. Yeah, read more. Okay, select that and go to the formatting. It's Montserrat, and the color is white. The size is 13, aligned in the center. Looks good. Let's go to the transform panel. It's at 293, 889 for the Y coordinates. The width is 94, and the height is 16. Responsive pinning in the center, and resize is none. Looks good. And then also for the text formatting, we want to make it all uppercase. Perfect. And also for compose your own diet, we'll select this here, and this also will make it uppercase in there. Perfect. All right, so is good food all uppercase? Yep, that is too. So we'll select good food and all uppercase as well. So with the uppercase button here in the text formatting. All right, so I'll take a look at the PDF, and now let's move on to the chef card here. So I'll go into Muse, and the chef card rectangle, we'll just select the rectangle tool. So rectangle tool, just create any rectangle, and we'll go to the transform option. So the chef card rectangle is at 585, 843 for the Y axis. The width is 800 by 400, and it's responsive. The pinning is in the center, the responsive pinning, and the resize is set to none. This does have a shadow, so we're going to go to this, the effects right up here, or let's fill the rectangle. So the fill, it has a white color, so we'll just select white for the fill, and then we'll go to effects to add a shadow, and we'll select shadow, and the shadow is white, and the opacity is 38, blur is 20, angle is 90, and shadow distance is 22. All right, perfect. Oh wait, no, the shadow is black, so effects, shadow, and select black there. All right, perfect. So now we have a shadow added to this rectangle here. Okay, now let's add the chef border. So with that, we're going to use a widget, the advanced gradients widget. So I'll go to the library panel. I'll type in advanced gradients, and we're going to use advanced gradients border 2 colors. So here I'll click, hold, and drag, place right in there. And the first color, so we'll select the widget options. We'll select color 1, so it's this color here. And then color 2, we'll select this color here. Looks good. And then the angle is at 120, so that's good. And then we'll change the width and height of this element here. So we'll go to the transform panel. On the x-axis, it's at 610. On the y-axis, it's at 873. The width is 170. No, the width is 750 by 350. Responsive pinning in the center. The resize is set to none. Okay, looks good. And let's go back into the widget options. So the border size, yeah, so the border size is 5 there, and the rectangle background color is white as well. Okay, perfect. So let me just align this, and the y coordinate is actually at 868 there, not 873. Yeah, so 868. There we go. Perfect. So that stroke is perfectly within the rectangle. Okay, so now let's add the chef image. So in the assets, we have chef mark right up here. So I'll click, hold, and drag and place outside of the website. Sometimes when you place it in a rectangle or on top of a rectangle, it'll fill that rectangle. So I like to place elements outside at times. Okay, so for chef mark, we're gonna crop this image. So with chef mark here, what you want to do is just place them where you'd like within the card. I know we have options here. We're going to bypass this for a second because you just want to place them kind of where you think it looks good within the card. And then we're going to use the cropping tool here to the left. So select the crop tool. It's a hand with this kind of symbol here. And then just drag from the top down, just like that. All right. Until it's flush with the rectangle. Perfect. So there we have chef mark, and you can also, once you have that rectangle set, you can double click inside and just move them around. So I'll do that again. So I'll zoom in here. So double click into the image, and then you can drag. You'll notice like light blue borders around the image, and you can drag up or down and kind of just place them where you'd like within the that rectangle. And I think that looks good, so we'll leave it just like that. Or maybe I'll bring it up a little bit more. Yep, that looks good. Okay, perfect. All right, so there we have chef mark, and we're gonna select it and pin to the center. The responsive pinning is in the center, and the resize is none. All right, looks good. So we're almost there. Now we're just gonna add text to the card. So in the chef card, we have chef Mark Reverson. Is right here for your disposition, phone number, and find more. All right, so let's add the text. So I'll go back into Muse, create a text box. I'll add the text. So I'll say chef Mark Reverson, highlight it. So let's go to the formatting options. It's Montserrat for the text, and it's 22. And text align is to the left. The font color is actually a different font color for this. So it's 09090A. Yeah, 0A. And I'll just add it to the swatches panel. Click OK. So we have that color there. And let's go to the transform panel. So on the X coordinate, it's at 1047. The Y coordinate is 981. And the width is 302 and the height is 26. Responsive pinning in the center, and the resize is set to none. All right, and we're also going to set the text transform to uppercase. Perfect. All right, so we have that there. The next is right here for your disposition. So let's go to the text tool, create the text box underneath, and I'll type in is right here for your, I'll type that in, is right here for your disposition. Okay, I'll highlight that, go to the text formatting, and the text here is Roboto Slab, so I'll type in Roboto Slab. And once you start using fonts, you'll have fonts in the recently used fonts here, so you can access them easily. Okay, and the font size is 15. The color is, let's see, 818181, and let's add that to the swatches as well. Anytime I have a new color, I like adding it to the swatches panel because then I can access it at a later time. Okay, so we have the chef text, and let's go to the transform panel. So 1047 on the X, on the Y it's 1018, and the width is 302, and the height is 18, pin to the center, and resize set to none. All right, and again, the text transform is uppercase. Looks good. Then we have the phone number right here. So again, I'll go into the text option, the text tool, just click here, or create a text box, and then for the phone number, I'll just do plus 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 0. That'll work there. You can follow the numbers here, it doesn't really make a difference. So I'll select the text, I'll go to the text formatting options. So the text here is Roboto Slab, so I'll select the drop down and I'll select Roboto Slab. The size is 20, so we have 20 there for the size, and the color is this color here. It's the 09090A, which I've added to the swatches. And let's go to the formatting options. So for the X, it's at 1047, the Y is 1064, and the width is 302, and the height is 24. The responsive pinning is center, and the resize is none. All right, there we have the phone number. Looks good, and I might add some text spacing to this number because the numbers are pretty close to each other, or just add, there we go, that's better. We'll do something like that. All right, perfect. Okay, so there's the phone number, and the last thing for the section is the find more button here. And for this, what I'm actually gonna do is just copy this read more text here and this rectangle, so you can hold down shift to select multiple elements. So I'll select the text, hold down shift, and then select this rectangle in here. So I'll click, and there we go. So I have those two. I'm gonna hit Command C to copy, and then I'll hit Command V to paste, and then I'll place it in here. And then I'll select the stroke, so it's invisible now because it's white on white. And then I'll change the color, so I'll go to the stroke option here, select the drop down, and the color for this is B8, 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 which is another color. I'll add it to the swatches, click OK, and perfect. So now it's that darker color. And the text, I'll just double click in here. It's the same formatting for the text. It's Montserrat 13. And the text is just find more instead of read more. Perfect. And let's see, in the text color, so I'll double click in here, go to the text option. The text color is this black color as well, and that's about it. So I'll just make sure I have those elements in the right place. So I'll just click on the rectangle and go to the transform option here. So we have 1047, the Y is 1133, 170 by 46. Perfect. Responsive pinning to the center, and the resize is set to none. Great. All right, so now the text, so we'll click on the text box right here, and we'll go to the transform panel here to the left, and the X is at 1088, the Y is at 1149, and 94 by 16. Perfect. And responsive pinning to the center, resize none. And there we have it. Looks good. And the text can actually go up a little bit more there, and maybe a little bit more. There we go. So the text is actually, we'll put the text at 1148 instead of 1149. All right, so there we have section 1 completed. Let's take a look at the PDF, make sure we didn't miss anything. Oh yes, we have this image of these peppers. So the peppers image, let's go ahead and add that. So we'll go to the finder here, or the assets, and we have this peppers PNG. So I'll click, hold, and drag, place right in there. Looks good. And the peppers image, let's go to the transform panel. On the x-axis, it's at 1098. The y is at 794. The width is 501 by 479, so it's all set. We're going to pin it to the right instead of center, so it stays to the right of the browser. And the resize, we're going to say none. Okay, and then we have the peppers image. We notice it's on top of all of these elements. So with the peppers image selected, let's go to the layers panel and go to section 1. And as we can see, we've added elements to the header. So this is always a good practice to make sure we're adding elements in the correct place. So let me select all these elements and bring them to section 1. All right, and we'll have to move a few rectangles around. So we can see that this image here is now in front of everything. So with it selected, you want to bring it behind all the other elements. And there we go, so that's all set. So I'll do that one more time. So this rectangle, this top rectangle with the background is on top of, Chef Mark is on top of all the other images. So to bring it behind, just click, hold, and drag and place at the bottom. And there we have it. So now we want to select the peppers image, and we also want to bring this to the bottom right there, and maybe behind. Actually, yeah, the peppers goes all the way at the bottom. So let me just redo that a few more times. So just click, hold, and drag the peppers image, PNG, and just click, hold, and drag all the way to the bottom of section 1. So it's behind everything, and it just shows on the side right there. And we notice that the background is black. To change that, let's go to the master page. So I'll go to the plan view, right up here, plan view. I'll go to the master page, double click, and we'll just change the background to white there. We might not be able to see the menu here when we're working on the master page, but if you did need to work on the master page, you could change it to any color to see the text and the logo there. But I'll change it back to white, and I'll go back to the plan view. I'll go to the home page, and there we have it. So we have those peppers there on the right. Okay, so that is it for section 1. Let's go ahead and preview in the browser. So I'll go to File, Preview Page in Browser. And here we have the header with the logo and the menu. Section 1 is done. That looks really good. If I resize the browser, all the elements we just added stay in the center. We notice the peppers, they stay on the right, but you also notice that, let's say I make the browser like full size, the peppers don't go all the way to the right. I do want the peppers to stay on the right. So here's another important tip we're gonna go over, and that's called the page expansion option here. So in the breakpoints bar, and I mentioned this on day 1, part 4, the page expansion, we wanna make sure the arrows are pointing outward. So you can click on these arrows, and the arrows will point outward. This means the page will expand beyond the largest breakpoint. So I'll show an example. So I'll File, Preview Page in Browser. And now if I make this browser full screen, we notice the peppers stay all the way to the right. So before they were kind of behind the card, and now they extend all the way to the width of the browser, which is really great for really large screens. So the elements will fit that large screen. So again, we just set the page expansion so the arrows are pointing outward and not inward. If they're inward, you'll notice that the peppers stop right here. They don't stop at the edge of the browser. Okay, so let's go back. Let's set the page expansion to outward. So just click once to make sure those arrows are pointing outwards. All right, so I'll preview one more time. Preview page in browser. And there we have it. We have section 1, day 4, section 1 completed. And you see those elements stay in the center. We have the header and footer. We have that background image, the read more button, and the website is looking good. All right, so that is it for day 4, section 1. Tomorrow we'll be moving on to day 5, section 2.
Muse for you, awesome websites without code.